So thank you guys so much for being here. We are going to record the session. So again, if anybody does show up a little bit late, the recording will be there for them as well. After this, I'll be dropping everybody an email with not only the recording, but some other resources that might be helpful in implementing some or any of this that we have today. So if we go through anything somewhat quickly, you guys are going to be able to access those resources. All right. Why are we here today? Because peak is stressful. It's demanding of us to have our best selves, our most productive selves in the most stressful environment that we see all year long. And many of the folks that are going to join us here today are in logistics, but even if you aren't in logistics, you're going to be able to have you're going to see the parallels in your industry as long as you use email and sometimes feel like you have more to do than you can get done in a particular day. So I think there's going to be something here for everybody. And when I think back to my peak seasons where things were the hardest or I was at my lowest, it was when I kind of did the thing, right? I went ahead and I prioritized as best as I could. And I felt like I might have a handle on what was going to happen next in the day or in the week or in the season. And then something comes and totally derails my day. And there's just this moment of just despair and overwhelm that just washes over you. And if I think about it, I can put myself right back in that space. And so what we're going to try to do is have less of that. And these personal processes and the SOP that I'm going to kind of present to you today is going to help that. But look, it's still going to happen. That's the gig. So we're going to mitigate and we're going to take solace in the fact that we have a process and a plan to get back on track. But again, we're not miracle workers here. So we gain the most control by sticking to a personal process SOP. And the biggest pieces of that are going to be your input management, which is primarily email, but we're going to talk about that, and prioritize. So I'm hoping that we can get as dedicated to our personal processes as the Swifties are to Taylor. Denver is hosting the Broncos or the Chiefs this weekend. So I am on Taylor alert. So I'm hoping that we're going to generate as much buzz and excitement as there is surrounding T-Swift these days. But this is going to set the tone for your day, for your peak. And hey, we're 60 days out from New Year's. This is going to set the tone for what you want to accomplish this next year. And our goal here today is bandwidth so that we can do the right work at the right time, and mental and emotional clarity so that we have the headspace to do the right work well. Before we jump into that, I want to give you just a little background on me and Solving Work. All right, so myself, I'm a Swiftie, yes, but also I'm a lifelong obstacle overcomer, and just a product of my circumstance. I had to learn how to thrive in difficult environments. So what that means is I was basically made for logistics. I studied industrial engineering in college, which is basically the intersection of process and people. And in my 2 decades in logistics, I got to sit on all sides of the table. So I was a carrier, I was a shipper, I was a 3PL, I was a consultant, I was a technology provider. And everywhere I went, I saw people struggling with the logistics doom loop, which was leading us to burnout, to disengagement, to retention issues ultimately. And this doom loop, if you're not familiar, is where we're in it, right? And we have goals and we have things and desires that we want to do within our department or within our team. And as soon as we make that plan, a supply chain disruption hits. And it doesn't have to be COVID. Sometimes it's peak season. Sometimes it's UPS going on strike. Maybe sometimes it's YRC going out of business one day to the next. It's always something in logistics. So we go all hands on deck, we get it under control, and we circle back and we find ourselves even further behind than we were when we started. Have our freak out, which is totally entitled. We all need to do that. And then once we make that plan to get back on track, there's just another disruption. And we do this over and over and over again. So I started Solving Work to help. We want to disrupt this doom loop by creating more resilient processes. And this is to disrupt this doom loop, to not end up in burnout. And it goes beyond your processes or your technology or your partners. It really starts with your personal organization and how you handle your day-to-day life, which is what we're covering here, as well as your team norms. And then once we've built this foundation, we can really go after that traditional consulting process, partner, technology. But all of these things contribute to your success. So today's agenda is pretty big. We're going to deep dive into our 4 rules of input management, which is featured in our white paper. Again, that'll be something that'll be linked in the resources at the end of the call. I am going to ask for a little engagement during the call. Raise your hand using the Zoom function, and hopefully at the end we should have time for any questions that come up. But I really want to get started. We're going to cover mostly managing inputs. So we have that universe, which is what we were talking about with Melly before we started the call, and then prioritizing those like a pro. Let's start with the inputs. What are these? These are your digital, physical, and verbal things that come into your life, and they may or may not require an action. Emails, chats, text, voicemails, notes from your in-person meetings, notes from your Zoom meetings, notes from this meeting, people calling you on the telephone, people stopping you in the hallway on the way to the bathroom, stopping you while you're filling your Stanley mug, even the Post-it notes that people are leaving on your office door or on your desk or on your monitor. All of these are inputs, and we need a place to put them. My recommendation here today is going to be tasks in your email client, and we're going to get into that in a second. Is anybody a Task Pro? Is anybody using that today? All right, doesn't look like it. Hold on, let me make sure I can see all of my participants. All right. So everybody's new to this. That's awesome. All right. Cool beans. Look, we're already doing this in the physical world. We all have habits like this, like your car keys. When you come into your home, gosh, I hope this is true for you. You put your car keys near the door or in your purse or on a hook, right? They have a place to go because they're such an important piece of your world, and you're going to put them in the same place at the same time every day. And you don't pick them up every time you think about going somewhere, right? And you don't put them in the refrigerator. You put them in an easy spot that makes sense, and it's the same every single time. Same things we do in our warehouse, right? We have a staging area in our warehouse where we put our loads that are ready and waiting for pickup. We don't move those loads every time we call the carrier. We don't move those loads every time we think about them. There's a place that they go, and we put it there, and then we get mental clarity. We're no longer thinking. We're no longer using our resources, whether that's mental or emotional in terms of anxiety, to wonder where they are. They're where they're supposed to be. This is important to do our best work. So tasks, this is the way. There are other tools, and I'll talk about them a little bit later, but this is the way. So in your email client, you have an easy way to add an email to a task. And the reason we start with email is because that is the #1 input thing. At least right now, with the technologies that we use in business, this is the place where most of your inputs are going to live. So whether you're in Gmail or you're in Google Outlook, you are going to have tasks. So leverage that flag and bring them into one spot. And let's not forget our outgoing email, especially if we're a leader. If we're sending things out and we expect to hear back by a certain date or time, let's flag those. That's important. Our goal, remember, is bandwidth to do the right work at the right time, and the mental and emotional clarity to do it well. These email processes are going to help us on bandwidth because we are spending, at Microsoft estimates, 57% of our day on communicating. People are checking their email up to 36 times an hour. This is low-hanging fruit. And tasks do the heavy lifting on that mental and emotional load. Your brain can only hold so much, whereas for this task, computers are near limitless. And when you feel out of control, that anxiety and that overwhelm, not only does that hurt your focus, but it hurts your ability to show up for your team. It hurts your ability to unleash your creative problem solving on whatever it is Peak has to throw at us. So these are such critical foundational pieces that just set the tone for us. And I want to dig in to the inbox. How are we going to manage this? Because this is the #1 place where our inputs are coming in, at least, with this state of technology, right? And If we're in and out of our inbox 36 times an hour, that's bad. I think we can all just admit that that's bad. We don't want that. And maybe you're not that bad, but it's bad because of the toggle tax. This is the cost of switching between apps. And I know I've been as guilty as this as anybody else of continuously toggling back and forth from my inbox to whatever I'm doing all day long. It costs us up to 9% of our workday, or that's the average. Some people are losing more time. The reason is it takes your brain 10 minutes to switch into a new task. So multitasking is, I think we all know it's a lie. If you read the white paper, there's a link there that tells you it actually causes some brain damage. So I am not a multitasker. I am a single tasker. And even if you're not in there 36 times a day, maybe you're in there or 36 times an hour, maybe you're in there 6 times an hour. So that means that you're taking that 10 minutes to switch back into whatever you're doing. So you're spending literally your entire day distracted. Your entire day lacks focus. It will not be your best work and you will be more tired. So this is an area where we can go and secure mental clarity. We can go and secure emotional clarity, and we get some of our bandwidth back. So we don't want to infinite inbox. We want to zero inbox because I don't want to pay this toggle tax any more than I have to. And we're going to get to how to zero inbox in a minute. I've got a pretty straightforward methodology that I think that you'll really like, but I have some inbox tips. Now, these things are going to set you up for zero inbox, but even if you're not ready to zero inbox, these are going to help you regardless. All right, the first one is put your emails in conversation view. This will group them by subject line, so you'll be able to see the whole thread at once, which means when you respond to an email, you're going to be responding to the most recent email. We have all been there when we have responded, or someone, it's not us, it's never us, someone has responded to not the most recent email on the thread, and we had already put it to bed, and now we have to have the conversation again. This is a public service. You're going to reduce the email for everyone. You're going to reduce the frustration. And if you are a leader on the team doing this to your team, you are chipping away at your relationship, at your trust. This is a micromanagement thing. You owe it to yourself and your team to use conversation view. You owe it to the world, but we're gonna bring it smaller. And the other benefit here is there's less toggling between subjects, which means better focus, less toggle tax. This is so crucial, and I hope everyone will write this down and take it away for them today. I think Gmail automatically does this for you. They don't even give you the option. So I think that tells you it's a good thing. This is my most controversial tip. I don't believe in folders in your inbox. I believe you should have a single folder. You should call it reference, and that is it. We'll use our show of hands. Does this make anyone wildly uncomfortable? All right, people are in. All right, I love this. This is exactly what I want. The reason we don't use folders, first off, oh, okay, not everybody. Good, thank you. The reason we don't use folders is because it takes time to decide where to put each and every email, and we get a lot of emails. So we are attacking that 57% of our day spent in communication, and we're getting rid of the low value activities so we can spend more time in high value activities, talking to customers, talking to our team members, and not trying to find the perfect place to put an email. The other reason is, if you have folders, you are going to be more likely to manually search when you're looking for an email. The time that it takes you to go and look at your email folders and be like, oh, is it in this one called the customer? Is it in this one about the technology? Is it in this one that I created just for this issue? And you're going to be clicking through those things and manually searching. When you are looking email to email to email in rapid succession, you are paying the toggle tax. In addition, it's just not fast. And the future of work is learning how to ask the computer questions. That's what AI prompting is. And this kind of searching, getting good at this, finding a way to be like, okay, let me remember the sender name, something that was relevant in that email, probably the folder name you were going to think about going to manually search, right? And oh, did it have an attachment or not? Usually these three things is just enough, and you can combine them into your search. And not only will you be saving your time, we're creating bandwidth, but you are also learning how to interact with the computer in the way that we're going to have to for the future work. I also have a quick step. So this is available to you in Outlook if you're not a Mac user, and you can just do a quick step to automatically move it to that email or move it to that folder and mark it as read. So that way it's not sitting there with a red email. You don't go back in there. We are only going to go into our reference folder with search. We're only going to go and look for anything with search. But I also recommend this quick step because it's going to help us as we're doing our inbox processing. All right. The next one's super easy and totally uncontroversial. Unsubscribe. Let's get rid of the clutter. In the physical world, I cannot get rid of the junk mail no matter how hard I try, but in the digital world, we really and truly can do this. So if we don't need to be seeing this and we don't need to be touching it day in and day out, let's get it out of our inbox. Maybe we all make a commitment to unsubscribing from something this week or next week, since it is Friday. My exception to the rule is rules. I don't get cute with rules. I think that the inbox processing methodology is, once you get the hang of it, really lets you just go through, right? But there are things that are going to be pull rather than push. So maybe you get bills of lading emailed to you and you don't need to see them, but sometimes you need to be able to search for them, right? So let's create a rule that sends them all to a BOL folder, or maybe with delivery confirmations, or maybe with news. So I subscribe to Smart Brief, to Supply Chain Dive, to several news digests that keep me up to date on what's going on in the industry. With that, I don't need to see those the emails in my inbox, right? I can go and say, I have 10 minutes, 20 minutes to stay on top of what's going on in the industry. So I'm going to go into my news folder, I'm going to check them out, and then I'm going to delete everything in there because I'm not going to let this hang over my head. It's not going to take any emotional load or any mental load from me, so I can maintain that clarity to do my best work. But we don't need to, in our daily inbox processing, see these emails and touch them. So rules aren't the exception to the rule, but let's not get too cute, too complicated with those, because you really want to see what you need to see in your inbox. All right, how do we zero inbox? The first thing I need you to do is plan. I need you to block this time on your calendar, and I need you to commit to it. I would recommend at the beginning, let's do 3 sessions a day. Let's do an AM, either a before or after lunch, and a PM session. The reason I want this for you is because I want you to start your day with, and end your day with, mental and emotional clarity. This process is going to enable you to have that. So you're not starting your day like just like running around with like a chicken with your head cut off, right? Like you are zoned in and you are on top of whatever's trying to derail you today. So the process, how we go through our inbox, one email at a time, and we are going to do one of 2 things. We're either going to tackle it or we're going to task it. If you're going to tackle it, that means we handle it right then, right now. We do not pass go. We do not collect $200. We do it right then and there. Red emails in your inbox are lava. All right. You'll tackle it under 2 scenarios. One, it's going to take you less than 2 minutes to handle it. Why? Because of the toggle tax. If it's only going to take you 2 minutes, it's not worth leaving and coming back to. And that does mean don't skip it and do all your tacklets at the end. Right then, right there, don't pay the toggle tax. The other one is urgent. And you know what urgent means, but like a millennial will pick up the phone is urgent. If it can wait to the end of this processing session, this 30 minutes that we've dedicated to this, then let's task it and deal with it when we do our prioritization. All right. All right. What does it mean to task it? I need a water. Let's think through an example. Your boss is sending you an email, says, hey, I need that prior week cost analysis by Friday. Cool. This is not an urgent request, so I'm not going to tackle it right then and there. I'm going to task this. I might flag it for today if I haven't prioritized yet. If I've already prioritized, I might flag it for tomorrow. And it's as simple as grabbing that flag button and selecting your date, right? But we can be more precise if it's easy. Let's not force ourselves not to use our brain, right? I just want you to know that there are, in fact, options for you. So a little less simply is I might, in my brain automatically, because I know this request so well, it's only going to take me 30 minutes. The data's not available till Wednesday. He wants it on Friday. All right. I'm going to task it, but I'm going to flag it for Thursday. So I've already done my prioritization on that item, right? We'll fine tune things on Thursday, right? But I have already handled it. I don't have to touch it again. Don't have to pay that toggle tax. If it's automatic, use it. If it's not, then just task it for today or task it for tomorrow, right? And when we are doing our prioritization, we'll be batching that activity and we'll pay less toggle tax, which means we'll have more mental clarity, more bandwidth, the ability to do the right work at the right time and do it well. All right, our even more complicated scenario is, okay, this isn't for me, this belongs to somebody on my team. Awesome, that's great. Let's task it by forwarding them an email, flagging that outgoing message. So again, this is where you might flag your outgoing message. And then you're going to select the date that makes sense for you. Maybe it's the date of your next one-on-one. Maybe it's the date of when you might expect to hear back from them that they said, yeah, I got it. Or depending on the context, maybe it's just the due date. And you're just going to make sure that we follow up and ensure that we haven't, that our team member knows that the work that we've assigned to them is valuable. The dates that we've provided to them are meaningful, and we care about their work, and we're going to make sure that we can not only collect it, but then use it. All right. So tasking, we're moving it to tasks. We're flagging it for a date. So that's going to make our brains feel good. And then we're going to reference it. It's just going to go into that reference folder. It's out of the inbox. There's no lava here. Once we've processed our inbox, we need to prioritize the crap out of things. And there are a million ways to prioritize, but the number one most important thing when you prioritize is to put everything in one place, to have the universe of tasks that you need to do in one single place. And part two, let's prioritize once a day. Just like I don't want an infinite inbox, I don't want to be perpetually prioritizing. If you get derailed, well, that stinks, but awesome, right? I know exactly what my priorities for that day were. I can communicate what is and isn't going to get done. I don't have to start again. I'm just going to do what's urgent and communicate what dates are changing, what commitments need to change in order to make this decision. And prioritizing is super duper personal. Does anyone have like a prioritization method like right now that you really like?
I have one. You already have it on your paper though. I love the eat the frog.
Awesome.
And when I don't do that, I suffer.
Excellent. So I want you to keep doing Eat the Frog, but, and for you in particular, Melly, because we talked about one of your issues at the beginning of the call, I want you to do it with the universe of inputs, because that is what's going to be critical. But I'm going to tell you my two favorite for the task view and for logistics, because here's the thing. These work well in a list view, right? We're going to move things up and down, whether they're critical, important, or smaller tasks, or the highest, the should, or, you know, nothing's going to go off the rails if I don't do these tasks, right? A, B, C. But in logistics, we don't get to pick one thing. We don't get to pick three things. These are like the traditional like prioritization. I love those people. Great jobs for them. That's not our environment. So I need the ability to have 13 priorities that day, but know that, you know, I have one super duper, I got 3 that make sense, and then I got 9 when I got real tired, real low, real frustrated, I'm going to go to those tasks, right? So I have something that's going to work with me all day. And what I like about A, B, C, D, E is A, B, C fits with 1, 3, 9 very well. If you can delegate it, awesome. Let's get that going. Let's trust our team. Let's enable them to do important work. Again, flag those outgoing requests or those verbal requests so that you can follow up, so your team knows that they're doing meaningful work. in a timely manner and that the deadlines you set are super important to them. But let's eliminate, don't delegate. If the task is unimportant, don't give it to your team. Let's not do it. Don't do any value add work, especially during peak season. This is the time when we absolutely need to make business decisions about what does and does not get done. Eliminating things that are low value and not delegating them to your team is going to not only create a better team environment, but it's going to grant you all bandwidth. So as you move through, when I look for things to eliminate, it's these smaller C tasks that I push from day to day to week to week. If I have been meaning to do it for 12 weeks and I haven't done it, maybe it's not important. Maybe it is, and that's something that you're going to know. But these are the ones that are on the chopping block to either be delegated or be eliminated. And I would try to eliminate before I delegate. All right. Thematically, what's important when you prioritize is brutal honesty. Your eyes cannot be bigger than your stomach. And this is a daily process. I hope that you commit to this kind of prioritization for the whole of peak season, right? So that each morning you get better and better. You're going to build skill in this area. So have grace for yourself and know that better is better. Not perfect is progress. These things are okay, and you are going to build in this area. This isn't just something some people are good at and some people are bad at. Sure. I was just mentoring yesterday at a high school nearby, and we took one of those personality tests, and there are people that this comes easier to, and I'm absolutely one of those people. However, this is a skill we can all build and add to our repertoire, and the return on investment in this area is so high. Again, we want to build our bandwidth to do the right work at the right time and ensure that we have the mental and emotional clarity to do that work well and to show up for our teams well. So you have to be honest with yourself while you're prioritizing. You also have to say no. Not today. Not right now. You have to protect yourself and your team, and you also give your stakeholders an opportunity to give you information that you don't have. When you say no, or when you say not now, or you give them a date that they don't like, they can communicate to you what's important to them, why that doesn't work. And you guys can have a conversation and then make a business decision about what does get done and what doesn't. In my world, we set balls down, we do not drop them. Or that's what we're trying to do. 100%, it's perfect is gone. It's not going to happen. We know what the gig is here. All right. And then the last thing I'm going to warn you about is your toggle tasks. These are ones that you're going to know it when you see it, but you cannot, hold on. I have to stop this because I can't look at her anymore. Hold on. There we go. These are the ones you can't get out of your brain. See, things distract us. We lose focus. I'm going to pay this tax for the next 10 minutes. That's poor planning on my part. When your brains are forcing you to toggle back to a task over and over and over again, even after you've prioritized it, that makes sense. That's a human thing. There is research that says that undone tasks distract us. I think we all know this. But a plan relieves this anxiety. And that's why your brain is sending it back, right? And making a plan, and I'm not even saying like a big plan, doing the smallest, recording the smallest next step for that particular task or project is just enough to relieve that anxiety. So you record that small, teeny tiny step, and you return to your priority. And that allows you to regain your mental clarity, to stop paying the toggle tax as it comes into your brain over and over and over and over again, right? And you'll know which tasks over time, while you're processing and doing your prioritization, that might need a little extra love, that you might not just be able to flag and move on, right? That you might need to invest just a tiny bit of thought. But this is something that will come to you over time. But if this is happening to you, you're not doing anything wrong. And that's just part of it. And this is a strategy to mitigate that. All right. Know thyself. We have to look in the mirror. So right here, right now, I'd love for you guys to think about what is it that you can commit to. We've got like 65 days through peak season, through the end of the year? Is it going to be one of the inbox tips? Is it going to be full inbox zero? Will it be leveraging tasks so you have the universe in one place, or testing out one of these new ways to prioritize, maybe the 139? I'd love to know if anybody, by, let's raise the hands, has found something that they want to bring into their workday going forward. Awesome. That's great. And maybe we can talk about it. We're going to have some time for questions. We can talk about what you found to be valuable, and if you have any questions on, or you want some strategies for implementing that into your day-to-day. But I want to warn you about something. If you go all in on this reference one folder situation and you don't keep up with tasks, whether that's in your email client or in some other fashion, you might create a huge mess. It will be worse. Please don't do one without the other. That is the number one mistake that I've seen, is somebody like, yeah, one folder, archive, or reference, but then they're not keeping up with their universe of tasks, and it can cause some confusion. So I don't want to make anything more stressful. I only want to make things less stressful. And when I say, for me, this personal process SOP, handling my inputs in this manner, leveraging tasks, and committing to zero inbox is life-changing. It's not just changing my life professionally, personally, getting the emotional clarity, knowing that what I need to do is done, is safe, is protected, has allowed me to live my life more freely, less anxiety, less stress when I walk away from the computer, less stress when an email comes in late at night. It has absolutely been life-changing for me. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it with you guys, especially as we walk into peak season. All right, for the rest of it, we just want to personalize. Find the schedule that works for you. Find the prioritization method that works for you. Find the tool that works for you. Maybe let's start with tasks, and you're going to evaluate what you like and don't like about it. But at some point you can say, you know what, I'd rather use Trello or Asana or Monday. But let's focus on taking an action rather than planning for action. So where we get into, and if you check out on LinkedIn later today, I have an article dropping about the U-curve, where we're so committed to getting the peak return on investment when we go and try to do something, that we fail to ever get started. We either want it all or nothing. And we can really and truly get 20%, 30% with super small actions, creating momentum that will eventually push us to the top of the U-curve. But I just encourage you to find something small to commit to and then build on that over time. All right. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I know that this can help you with peak for the rest of the year, for the life of your career, because that's how it's been for me. And once these habits are ingrained into your personal process SOP, they're just going to continue to build on each other and bring you value. So next week, I will be providing this recording link, a invite to the newsletter so you can receive the white paper. Please follow me on LinkedIn. We'll be having additional webinars. If you want to potentially work with me in other ways, whether that's to join me in a personal process bootcamp, one-on-one coaching, or hosting a team training workshop on these particular skills in your organization, I'll have a link to book a discovery call with me in that email as well. I also have a full team transformation where we talk about, again, personal processes, team norms, and then the processes, the technology, and the partners that you have in your department, and how to improve that, how to get the most out of that, how to get your ROI, as well as fractional support. So thank you. I'm so happy to have had you guys here today.